What is up, everyone? Welcome to another, I was getting ready to say reaction. Well, it's because this is a recorded show today here on the channel. I am Jeffrey Kirby. We got Caleb with us.
What's up, y'all?
We got a special guest. He is coming back because it is Brown Steelers Part 2. We have none other than Packer fan Dan Meiningen.
Electric Boogaloo, man. The first one was so much fun, we had to make a second, didn't we?
Yeah.
In this season that will never end.
Listen.
This is the never-ending football season. Like, I feel like this season has gone on 3 weeks longer than any other season. And I don't know if it's because of all the COVID tests or it's because we know that week 17 is happening no matter what. But, like, it just feels like that this season will not end. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I think part of it, too, is because of the fact for both, well, I guess all three will go for Dan, his Packers. You deal with some drama always dealing with Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
No, not our quarterback. He's immunized to drama.
And then you get the Browns. You guys have been dealing with a boatload of drama, which we got into a little bit before. Which, who would have realized we did that show and then 5 days later Odell Beckham was going to be gone?
You know, it's funny thinking back to then because it was unbelievable how in 72 hours, like 6 tweets and a video and an Instagram post, and all of a sudden it was like, no, he's got to be out of here now. Like in that moment, that was the moment where social media, like we've had all of these in between where social media has really made an impact on life and we've really felt it. That was one of those for me being in the business where social media was like the biggest eye opener because it really was. It was an Instagram post, a YouTube video, and 5 tweets. And all of a sudden Odell Beckham Jr. had to go. Like,
yeah, it was.
Even as his teammates were coming out and being like, no, we love him. Like, everything's great. Like, we still get along with them. We're all good. And then it's like, in 5 tweets, it was like, all right, fine, maybe it's time.
Which is something we're gonna have to discuss because as I was listening to your show earlier today, earlier today as of Tuesday when we are recording this, when you and Jeff were talking about some of the interesting stats that involves Mr. Baker Mayfield, which we'll have to get into as well when we start to break down this game, which is also Monday Night Football. Was it ESPN? I'm losing my mind.
It is on the 4-letter network, and it's the return of the Manning cast too, I believe.
Oh, okay. So we get the Manning cast for a win or go home. It's win or die situation for both teams. Loser of this game is out of the playoff contention, which honestly, that's something that we have to discuss as well. Going into this season, Browns had high aspirations. National media, there was supposed to be an AFC contender to make the Super Bowl. The Steelers, we were supposed to really fall off the cliff, and we saw people saying we were going to go 3-14. Obviously, it's kind of been an overachieving / underachieving kind of deal for both teams. If you had to tell someone who doesn't really know sports or doesn't really watch football and say, what the hell happened to the Browns in 2021? What would you have to say?
I would first tell them, go read Terry Pluto's book called Browns Blues and just put 21 next to everything that takes place, and you're pretty much caught up. This has been the who wants it least division. The Bengals came out of nowhere. We all thought their offensive line was going to be a mess. We all thought their defense was not going to be able to hang either. Turns out their defense could hang, and it turns out their offensive line still is a mess, but it doesns matter because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are insane. Mm-hmm. And everybody else in this division has just been a mess. The Ravens are the snake bite team. Every year there is one team that injuries come by and they just snake bite them. And there's no other way to put it. And we knew that in training camp when we had 2 running backs go down with ACL tears and Marcus Peters all within like 5 plays of each other. And you knew from that moment that the Ravens were going to be playing from behind and they were the snake bite team where the injuries were just going to kill them. And then it's killed them all during the year. And then COVID did them no favors on top of that. So you take the Steelers. The offense has been what we thought. Big Ben still hot potatoes, doesn't want to get hit, still wants to get rid of the ball as fast as possible. The receivers have been awesome. The defense has stepped up as well, but with the offense being so meh, it's down to the defense doing it. And on the Brown side of it, they lost the 2 tackles. Baker, at one point in the season, it was a shorter list to say what isn't hurt than to say what is hurt for Baker Mayfield, because everything was hurt. And COVID didn't do him any favors, and the Odell Beckham saga did them no favors as well. All the while, the defense started pulling it together, and then they got snake bit with COVID. And the Raider game where you got your third-string quarterback running out there, which Nick Mullins was fine. I mean, you could do way worse with your third-string quarterback than Nick Mullins.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was fine. And you go into the Packers game on top of that, and here comes Baker Mayfield off of COVID to throw 4 interceptions. And if you want to go, well, 2 of them really weren't his fault because of pass interference. Yeah, he threw one right to Eric Stokes that he should have caught. And he threw another one to DeAndre Campbell, that Campbell should have caught on a screen pass. So it's like, okay, subtract 2, add 2. Okay, we're not even. Like, he played like utter garbage. And that's where we are right now, is it's the fact that the Browns offense has been absolutely rancid outside of Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and Dearness Johnson. And the Steelers, you guys know it all too well, what's going on with your offense and the defense on top of that. The Bengals offense has been better than we thought. The defense has fallen back to earth a tiny bit. And the Ravens are the snakebite team. And that's where we are in the position of who wants it least, which really is the way to describe this division. It's who wants it least. Like, who is going to limp their way to the 4 seed, and whoever they face as the 5 seed, look, the playoffs are random. We have no idea what happened. The last time the sub-500 team won, I think this is true, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. So when you go back and post and edit this, feel free to put a disclaimer on here saying that everything that this man said is utter hogwash. I think the last team that made the playoffs with the sub-500 record was the Russell Wilson Seahawks with the Beastquake game against the Saints. I think that is the case because I can't think of another one off the top of my head.
I think you're right on the game. I don't think it was Wilson though.
Yeah, because I think that was before Russell Wilson.
Was Beastquake before Russell Wilson?
Yes.
That could easily be the case. It said I'm doing this off the top of my head. So if I'm incorrect,
I think that is the right game. The last time we did have a sub 500 team though.
Yes, because they were 7-9 because that was right after the Saints just won their Super Bowl against Peyton Manning.
Right. So that was the Charlie Whitehurst versus somebody else game that we all looked at and went, "Oh God, why?" That was on Sunday Night Football. It was Charlie Whitehurst and someone. So Clipboard Jesus actually had to throw a football that game.
I'm looking up currently the see if I can figure out what at this point this is where we need your soundboard to luckily we can edit this. Honestly, that is what's great. We can edit this out and okay, so it's 2011. So it's
2011. I think it was Russ. I think it was like Russ's rookie year.
No, because Russ got drafted in 2012.
So you're right. Well done, Caleb. But that's the last sub 500 team that
Matt Hasselbeck, which is kind of who I thought it was.
Out of Dodge. Matt Hasselbeck was in that game.
Hey,
wow.
Matt Hasselbeck took them to a Super Bowl.
Yes, he did.
Against
yes, he.
The theme of the podcast, the Steelers.
Yes, he did. So, but that's the thing. So, which one of these teams is going to be the one that is going to be the team that's either sub 500 or just hardly above 500 to win this thing out? Because that's this division this year. Everybody beat up on each other. And then COVID hit. And then injuries hit. And then drama hit. And all of a sudden, we're all looking at each other going, okay, well, the Browns have to beat the Steelers. The Bengals need to, we need the Chiefs to beat the Bengals, and we need the Rams to beat the Ravens, and then we figure it out, and then the Browns figure it out from there. And I don't know the Steelers playoff situation. I think it's beat the Browns, and then you still need Chiefs to beat the Chiefs to beat the Bengals, right?
We need a miracle. We need a Minneapolis miracle times the miracle in Tennessee / whatever other miracle you want. But yeah, just with this whole entire playoff thing, I'm going to say this, and I know I get flagged for this, but I'll say it once again.
I've already been wrong once on this pod, so let's keep cracking.
I said, I believe it was either right before the Minnesota game or right after the Minnesota game. I said, listen, if we make the playoffs, that is cool, just because we can say that we really overachieved what we were supposed to do. And at the end of the day, it does, in a way, make Mike Tomlin look, it kind of has that 2019-esque feel when after Big Ben goes down in week 2, where I admitted this before, the first thing I did is I looked up Justin Herbert. That was the first thing I did. And obviously, Caleb, our co-host here, is an Oregon fan, which we're going to have to discuss as well, Caleb. You taking the offense, or your new head coach as the offensive line terrible coach for the Steelers, which, thank you, Lord Jesus. I think Steeler fans right now are feeling exactly how some Browns fans felt when Odell Beckham was gone. Or just whatever other, or when Freddie Kitchens got fired.
That's probably the one.
You know, real quick, I have just a comparison for any Browns fan from I guess about 10 years ago. You want to know what Ben Roethlisberger's been like right now? I guess the comparison would be Derek Anderson. A statue in the pocket, and doesn't want to get hit, doesn't move.
Tree. He's grown there. He's put his roots there, and he's staying.
He really is, man. And it's been a hell of a run, and it's been a hell of a career for Big Ben, and he's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, and no one's going to question that in any way. But woof, it's ugly back there. I mean, he does not want to get hit.
No.
And it is hysterical to watch him just. And the funny thing was, even in that Chiefs game? Yeah. He was actually kind of pushing the ball down the field a little bit. It took me aback. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, it wasn't just like check it down as fast as possible.
Well,
so
here was one thing too that was very shocking to me, and this was a graphic that CBS had for the Chiefs game. Was obviously they were talking about how Kansas City likes to play press man, but one thing too that Pittsburgh has been doing since 2020, and it doesn't feel like it, is they like to run go routes. Especially when you have a guy like Chase Claypool, where he has all of the talent in the world. His ceiling is as high as it can be. But his issue is he's having a hard time catching some of these contested balls, which is it's so annoying when you're a 6'4" guy, but you're more worried about pointing to an end zone that you ended up not getting to with this much time left on the clock. Just talking about, Mike, how about we have music at practice? Let's not focus about the little tiny details of things. No, let's worry about listening to the latest Roddy Ricch album or the latest whatever the hell artist, rapper you want to put in there. Let's worry about listening to them instead. That to me sounds like... I don't even have a comparison. I don't even have a Browns comparison to that.
Welcome to the AFC North.
That's
what it is. That everybody is running into some version of this. Like, this is the AFC North this year. It has gone exactly how we thought, in that it was going to be incredibly competitive, but it is not gone in what we thought these teams were going to be good.
Right.
Like, it's competitive, but all of these teams have a fatal flaw, and it's just a matter of who is going to be able to hide their fatal flaw the best. And that's who's going to win this division. It's the team that figures out how to hide their fatal flaw. And you got two teams in the Browns and Steelers who are going to go against each other. Their fatal flaw is their quarterback. Like, and at least watching Ben, that's kind of where I hit. And I know the offensive line for the Steelers has been ugly and has been some of the issues, with Najee Harris not being able to run as much as he should. Sorry, it took me a minute to think of the name. But like the offensive line has been an issue for that one. But like, even on top of that, like, we're hiding quarterbacks in this division right now. I mean, Ben has been very blah. Baker has been sub blah. Like,
Lamar early on in the season was a MVP candidate, and you look at his stats and you're asking yourself, how the hell did he make the Pro Bowl?
The amount of people who are like, no, Tyler Huntley needs to start. You're just like, really?
Those people,
you sure?
Let's be honest. Those people are just they speak right in the moment, and yeah. Honestly, unless you could give me a logical reason, which I don't think you can give me a logical reason. Which, here's something I want to ask you as well.
On top of that, then Josh Johnson rolls in and looks pretty damn good. I mean, put it this way, he wasn't as big of an issue in them losing that game than in the Ravens losing that game to the Bengals as the Ravens defense was to losing that game. Like
their defense looked like they couldn't stop anything.
Exactly. You're right. They have no pass rush out of that defense. There's no pass rush, and the secondary is so banged up.
Which kind of brings into look too the Bengals with that whole quarterback situation. Them and their fans, they got to be feeling pretty nice too, because you look 10 years down the road from now, the only quarterback that you could make a solid argument of still being here in this division is Burrow, and he looks like he's still going to be playing the top of his game 10 years from now too. He's a solid quarterback, and so they have their quarterback set.
Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in this division. And I don't, even healthy Lamar probably would give him a run for his money, but the Joe Burrow that we are watching right now is just nuts. I mean, he's making throws that are just plain stupid. And it's so funny too, because coming out of the draft, everybody was like, he's dead accurate. He's a hell of a leader. He's all those different things. But the one thing he's missing is the over-the-top arm strength. And in the league, everybody's like, well, maybe Joe Burrow's arm strength doesn't hang. Well, maybe his arm strength. I don't see a problem with it, guys. I just straight don't, because he puts the ball where he needs to. And okay, fine. It's not coming out like it's not flinging out of his arm in the same way Justin Herbert is. But like, it doesn't matter. He's throwing it exactly where he needs to throw it on all of these throws, and it's getting there. And like, he and Jamar Chase are getting near that Vulcan mind meld status that a lot of these wide receivers are getting, where they just understand each other and they know each other. And Tyler Boyd has been awesome for them. And T. Higgins has been awesome for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just were like, forget it. To hell with an offensive line. Let's just get rid of the ball fast. And that was their solution to all this. It's like, well, let's just get rid of the ball. I'm with you. If I'm signing a long-term quarterback in the North, it's Joe Burrow. Easy. Mm-hmm. And then it's like a half step down. And then I'm like, okay, then Lamar. And then probably Baker, and then question mark, because I have no idea who's going to start for the Steelers in 2022.
All right. If you see a cut real quick, we had to take a quick break. We had to call Dr. Hardman. Was it Dr. Howard? Dan, you're going to need some help. What doctor did we just see? Dr. Hartman?
Well, Dr. Hartman, of course, there to take care of Peter Griffin when they need him, when you just can't take any more shtick.
Please? We can't take any more shtick.
But, of course, you got to start out with Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, and Dr. Howard.
Calling Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard.
If you know.
From Horrible, what is it? I think the Three Stooges episode, I think it's just called Horrible Doctors. So, or something like that.
You were just talking about, I don't know if this part was recorded, because we are recording this once again. We do apologize. But one thing that was brought up, and we're going to make sure it gets brought up in this, is you were just talking about ranking basically the quarterbacks and how you would pay them. Reiterate, if this wasn't recorded, you said Burrow number 1.
Yep.
Half step
Burrow,
down, then Lamar.
Then Baker.
Then question mark.
Because I'm going to go out on a limb and say you guys have no idea who's going to start a quarterback in 22 for the Steelers.
Listen, going into this now, you ask yourself, we saw what happened with the Steelers-Packers game. Everyone, including myself, we're all going nuts. Like, oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers is confirmed. He's coming to Pittsburgh, all that, blah, 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 blah. And that's while you are the Packer fan, Dan Meiningen here, what are the chances, do you think, of Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay? And this is becoming a lot harder of a question.
So, the guy who has been right on all of this has been Andrew Brandt. And if you are a Green Bay Packers fan, Andrew Brandt is your ultimate asset because he is like having a member of the mob who left and tells you how the mob thinks. Like, he's the ultimate asset because he's the one guy who has gotten out of the Green Bay brain trust and is not afraid to go, this is exactly how Ted Thompson taught these guys to think. This is how Ron Wolf taught Ted Thompson to think. Like, Andrew Brandt has been this unbelievable asset to anybody who's out there. And he has said from the get-go that he will be phenomenal this season. He will stay there. They will make concessions. They will try to work it out. But in reality, he has always believed that he is gone at the end of the season, kind of no matter what, that Rodgers is just gone. And it's because of years of this nonsense going on between the two. And it's because they wasted a first-round pick on Jordan Love, and they don't want to make it look like they're wrong. And that ego is going to play a part into this, which ego plays a part into everything. My heart wants me to say that if they are hoisting the Lombardi Trophy at the tail end of the season, that he doesn't go anywhere. My head also knows that Kawhi Leonard hoisted a trophy in Toronto and then left.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that's not the ceiling deal that everybody has wanted. I can tell you that the Packers have done everything in their power to make this guy as happy as possible, in that even bending the rules and eating fines in a way that the Packers would never do with this whole immunized and holding press conferences without a mask on, though he wasn't vaccinated, and not following the rules and everything else that has followed Aaron Rodgers. They have bent over backwards to do what they can for him. My head says he's playing somewhere else next year. My heart says he's playing in Green Bay. I pick which one you want to follow, because I don't know. I straight don't know what he's going to do. If I am running the team, it's a really simple answer for me. I pick up the phone, I call Atlanta, and I go, give me a second round pick for Jordan Love, and he's yours. And I go, Aaron, here's all the money you want. Like, you are the MVP. We will have you in on decisions. We will try to draft a wide receiver if you so desire. We will try to help the offensive line as much as we can. We've proven that we can do that. We are signing Devontae Adams. We are going to make this work because, look, you guys can have Tom Brady. You guys can have Ben Roethlisberger. You guys can point to Peyton Manning. I don't care. Give me Aaron Rodgers. The guy's the greatest quarterback I've ever witnessed in my life. He just does voodoo every Sunday. Like, he makes throws that make anyone's head hurt. And the ones that are dropped are even unbelievable throws that you're just like, how did that fit where it fit? He's nuts. He's absolutely nuts. And the drama that follows him around is even more nuts.
Yeah.
But if you want to win a Super Bowl, it's an easy phone call. And it's the same thing where I would say with him and the Steelers. If you want him, yeah, get him. He'll win you a Super Bowl. He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable, and he's playing some of the best football of his career right now.
All right, I'm going to make I want to make a comment on this, and then I'm going to also let Caleb make a comment on this as well, because I want his opinion as well. For me, the way I look at it is, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, sounds wonderful. Obviously, if you can get the opportunity to get him, you go and get him. I feel like the issue is with this team right now. You're in a situation where you have fans that are saying you need to rebuild, which in reality seems like that's not something that the Steelers really want to do. They kind of like to do the retooling process, and which is two completely different things. And I feel like with the way that this offensive line is, where you have Dan Moore, who is a rookie this year, Kevin Dotson, who's been out since the Lions game, which I ended up attending, so I got to see my very first Steeler game in Heinz Field, and I witnessed the tie. Which, here's what's sad about this. I have been to 3 Steeler games in my life. 3. I went to the tie in 2018. I went to the Myles Garrett smacked Mason Rudolph in the head game, and then I witnessed that. What the hell kind of luck do I have? But
the fighting Dan Campbells.
And so Kevin Dotson has not played since that game. You get a rookie in Kendrick Green where he came in here. I don't know. I just got this vibe where he's like, I'm going to take Marquise Pouncey, who's a Hall of Fame center's number, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to destroy people, and that has not been the case. You get a veteran in Trey Turner that you had to bring in after the release of David DeCastro, who had been an all-pro guard for quite some time, but he was just dealing with a mounting of injuries. And then you get Chuks Okorafor, which he has his moments, but he also makes my head want to explode. That would be probably the equivalent of Cam Irving playing tackle for all the Browns fans there.
God, ask the Panthers. Ask the Panthers on that one. Oof.
And
they went into the season with Cam Irving at left tackle, and we thought for half a second, oh, maybe Joe Brady's got something. Maybe Matt Rule. No, it's Cam Irving.
And although Kansas City found a way to make him look decent, so
this is the funny part. I'm glad you brought up Cam Irving in Kansas City for the fact that when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. So you're worried about this offensive line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers right now is dealing with a rookie center. He's dealing with a backup left guard. He's dealing with the third string left tackle. He's dealing with the fourth string right tackle, and he's dealing with his starting right guard. Do you notice it? No, you don't. Because when you got a quarterback who is that good, who can get rid of the ball that fast, it doesn't matter. It straight does not matter. As long as those guys can road grade, because Rodgers has learned how to run the ball, finally. Only took him 15 years in the league to learn it. But he finally learned how effective it is to run the ball. If you can do that, Aaron Rodgers can succeed with the guys that you have around there right there. He'll walk right in. Life will be good. Not to mention it's the Aaron Rodgers factor. Guys want to play with him. They do. They want to show up and play with him. It's the same thing with offensive linemen. They'll roll on in and want to play with him. It's nuts what this guy does. It really is. This team, this Packers offensive line, David Bakhtiari hasn't taken a snap all year. He hasn't. All-pro left tackle. Unbelievable player. Hasn't taken a snap at left tackle all season. Billy Turner was bouncing around all over the place. He's hurt. Elgin Jenkins was the same deal. Hurt. Got hurt. Was playing left tackle for him, or right tackle. Was bouncing all over the place for them. Hurt. Gone. Don't even know. You don't even know. He is so good. Guys, I'm sorry. And I don't want to drool over it because there are things that he does and things that he says that makes my head freaking spin. But he's so damn good. Like, you just hand him a football and just let him go. I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. If you want Rodgers and the Packers and the Steelers can put something together, don't let the line stop you because it hasn't stopped Green Bay.
I'm actually going to clip that, make it its own video on the channel as well, because I'm going to be very interested to see how some people react to that, because we've seen a lot of people kind of react to the opposite of what you just said, is why would he want to come here with this offensive line and all that, which here's a fun stat too, that it seems outrageous to say. Najee Harris is he's top 5 in rushing yards this year.
He's been excellent.
How? That's my thing too, is like, and that's the thing too, and that's a question that I would have to ask with this as well. We're seeing Najee Harris run the football. He's only averaging 3.6 yards per carry, which is not that good, especially with what you guys are dealing with Nick Chubb, which, again, will be a question we have to ask about Saturday as well. You know where that exactly is going.
Oh, it's only been the last 2 days of my life.
I mean, but yet again, spoiler alert, there's a lot of hypocriticism going on, which we'll discuss. But then you get Najee Harris, who's a top 5 in rushing yards, where it's like, okay, the offense has been blah, as exactly what you described it as. With Aaron Rodgers,
sometimes
with the way that he
can't describe these things,
the way that you can throw, the way that he can throw the deep ball, where Aaron Rodgers, he just sits back in the pocket. It looks like he has no technique. He just like, boop, and it's a lot. And it's on the money. Like the play that I think of exactly was on Saturday. He just lobs it up to, I think it was Alan Lazard, who was the corner. Greedy Williams had him. It should have been a pass interference, but Alan Lazard just catches it one hand, no problem, right on the money.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's Rodgers. And that's the whole thing with this. And who knows how it goes, because the only thing that would slow that kind of stuff down, if we're being honest, is the fact that Rodgers may want to bring Adams with him. And I don't think the I don't think the Steelers would throw fit going, well, I guess we got to bring Aaron Rodgers. We got to bring Devontae Adams with us. Oh, boy, that's a shame.
Well, here's the thing, too, with this is the fact that this is the first time in quite a while that the Steelers have a decent amount of money to spend. They have, I believe, right around $40 million to spend as of right now, and that was including the fact that you were able to sign T.J. Watt, which there should be no ifs, ands, or buts about it, about him being Defensive Player of the Year. Which I was looking at have you seen the NFL.com article that talked about the NFL executives and their voting and who they voted for their awards, like MVP, which Aaron Rodgers is MVP. I don't think that was a question about it. And they discussed how, in that article, T.J. Watt was the Defensive Player of the Year. Then Micah Parsons, which is insane for the fact that he's a rookie and he has legit Defensive Player of the Year aspirations. Good. Then you get, I think it was Joey Bosa and then Myles Garrett. And one thing that I do want to say is I got a text from a Browns fan on, I think it was Sunday, talking about a missing person report for Myles Garrett. And I told him, I was like, I'm not allowing you to go with that just because and the reason why is our guy TJ Watt has dealt with that on multiple occasions, and you can tell where he just did not look like himself at all when he's dealt with groin injuries, because they are a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah. Anyone who is, and this is one of those, like, you know, these guys are unbelievable athletes in the peak physical conditions of their lives and all that stuff. Anyone who has ever strained their groin knows it's awful.
They've never put on a pair of cleats in their life. Those are the same people that like to sit on Twitter. They type with Cheez-It crumbs on their keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
And
actually, I need to clean my keyboard.
Pause.
Sorry.
All right, we are back. First, we saw Dr. Hartman. Now we're seeing Dr. Clean or Mr. Clean. So we're just getting visits from everyone. But yeah, that was one thing that I saw. I'm like, yeah, no. Baker, on the other hand, that could be a whole discussion, because when it comes to Baker Mayfield, and I had to tell someone who's not really, he's more of a basketball guy, and he hit me with the typical, it's in his non-throwing shoulder, and I'm like, no, listen. You don't understand when you're throwing a football how important that non-throwing shoulder is in terms of just the accuracy and the motion of throwing a football. And but yeah, like you said before, there was at a point of time where it was easier to name off the injuries he didn't have than he did. And
so
it makes you bring up the question of, should he have handled that? And this is hindsight being 2020. Should he have said after a couple games, maybe I need to shut myself down, kind of what Colin Sexton did in Cleveland with the Cavs?
Colin Sexton is a little bit different due to the fact that, like, we knew when that injury took place, there was no other way around it. With this as you're witnessing, you can kind of play with it. Now, not well. I mean, and again, if you want to know what Bake is going through, the understanding would be, go grab a football and don't move your left arm. Like, exactly. You know, when you throw, you naturally, you know, they teach you this, that you want to point your one arm and then have it follow through. And that's not just with football. That's with baseball. That's with any sport that involves throwing stuff. Like, we've all been there where, you know, you're in Little League and you're in T-ball and you got a coach going, okay, make the T. Okay, now one over the other. Like, we've all done that. So it's kind of the same idea with the NFL. And it's the same idea with Baker. Look, this is a 6-month injury. If he got surgery on it, he would have been done. It would have been done for the season, okay? 4th year, 5th year option has been picked up. So basically, Baker would be saying, I'm going to gamble on myself for 1 full year. Not to mention, when he does get the surgery, from people that you talk to with this whole thing, it's not the end all be all answer. It can pop out again. It's not like it's done. We have surgically sealed the ball and socket joint in there. It's not the case. It's kind of when you bust that, it's going to bust again. So with the surgery help, yes. The stuff that he is doing, from a lot of people that you talk to and can read and all of that stuff, his footwork is a train wreck. I mean, guys, you watch his footwork, it's a mess. His lower half is horrible.
Which I want to interrupt you real quick on that. Wasn't that supposed to be the very first thing that Kevin Stefanski worked on with Baker Mayfield when he came in?
Alex Van Pelt.
Okay,
that was what it was. I don't want my feet to be Metallica. I want my feet to be Mozart.
So, and that's an interesting thing, how that was supposed to be one of the very first things that they work on with him when they come into Cleveland. And
foot injury, sprained ankle, groin injury, like it's the same thing all over again. And this is the problem with the Baker Mayfield experience, man, is that with every flaw that you can point to in his game, there is an equal level of excuse that can come with it that you can go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I guess that does make some level of sense. Like that's the problem with Baker right now, is that we could sit there and go, yeah, his footwork is a mess. We could also go, yeah, I think he had 2 ankle issues. He had a foot issue at one point. He strained his groin. We could point to all these lower half injuries that were giving him issues on top of that. Like, this is the problem with the Baker Mayfield experience, is once again, it's all cloudy. This season, the goal of this season was, yes, they wanted to be in the Super Bowl. Yes, they wanted to win the Super Bowl. They would tell you all of those things. The goal of this season was to figure out, are we handing our quarterback a $35 million contract? Are we doing it? Like, yes or no? That was the goal. That was what the end game of this season was supposed to be, was clarity. And right now we don't have it. We just don't. The Browns do not have clarity if Baker Mayfield is that guy, because once again, walking into the season, we had a season and a half where he looked unbelievable. And we had a season and a half where he looked like utter garbage. And this season has also been utter garbage, but we can point to every single excuse on the face of the earth and go, here's the reasons. And they're pretty damn good reasons. And so, yes, his footwork is a mess. Yes, he can't raise his shoulder up to throw with it right now. Yes, he is making horrible reads. Yes, teams have figured out that he's a one-read quarterback, and the minute that read is over, he's bailing from the pocket and has a problem. Yes, he is throwing the ball and seeing ghosts. Yes, all of those things are true. He's missing wide-open receivers. The Odell was open video is right. The Jarvis Landry on the last play when he threw to Donovan Peoples-Jones, okay, yes, holding, pass interference, whatever. Jarvis Landry was lined up with a safety. Jarvis Landry had a backup safety on him.
Mm-hmm.
You're not throwing to that? Like, that's one of those where the experienced good quarterback looks to its right and goes, oh.
That's where a guy like, even a guy like, you have Matt Ryan, any veteran quarterback that's been in the league for, it's like, oh, okay, I can read what's going on here. They're running God knows, name whatever defense you want to run. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna focus on that, or not focus, but I'm gonna watch him. I'm gonna look over the safety, look off the safety, however the hell you want to say it, and then we're going to make a play. Where it seems like with Baker, what you just said, he's a one-read quarterback in 2019
when everything is perfect around Baker, he's phenomenal.
Kansas City.
But everything has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect and he has to improvise and he has to get off script, it's a problem. And that has been the knock on Baker since college. And everybody thought that he would get over that because they went, that's just Lincoln Riley's system. That's how Lincoln Riley's system works. He'll be able to read a field. He's smart enough. He's shown it before. He was in the air raid for a little bit. Like, he'll be able to read it. And this year has shown on numerous occasions that he is, the minute we get off script, he's a mess. He becomes a mess. He becomes rolling right. He becomes back into the right. He becomes, I'm seeing ghosts and I'm getting rid of the ball before I have to. He's sailing guys because he's trying to throw it so hard to make sure it gets there in the window because he read it late. And the difference between him and Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray, and those are the big ones. There was somebody else who fits into this profile. Russell, that's it. Russell Wilson. The difference between him and all of those guys is the fact that they have the athleticism that they can fall back onto. That Russell Wilson does not read a field as well as you would like him to. Just doesn't. He's kind of the same deal. He's kind of, one read, two read. Okay, now I bail. The difference is that when Russell Wilson bails, he's unbelievable throwing on the move. He's an unbelievable improviser, and he can gain 15 yards because he can just make people miss. And even though he is sleepwalking on a bad Seattle team, that's still there. Baker doesn't have that athleticism. And that's been the biggest eye-opener of this season to me, is the fact that if everything is great, if everything runs on schedule, he's awesome. But the minute things get hairy, he's throwing picks. He's overthrowing guys. He's not reading the field. He's not improvising. He's missing safeties on backup safeties on wide receivers. He's throwing to the same guy every time that they're baiting him to do it. On that Russell Douglas pick in the end zone, he just got baited. Or I shouldn't say it wasn't in the end zone, but it was one of the picks that he had. He just got baited. Like they flat out baited him, and he took the bait. And they knew what was coming, and they knew where the ball was going to go. And the minute you start seeing that stuff, it becomes, oh boy, probably time to start looking elsewhere. And that's where we are right now.
So the question
sorry,
is...
I've rambled long enough.
No, you're good. So say Baker has a season like this next year where he just has lingering injuries and it's kind of just leaves you with a question mark. And all you have is what we have so far with him. What would be your call with, do they extend him or do they not at this point?
So it used to be the Baker line was like 16 or 17 in the league. I think after this season, we're closer to 20 to 23. I think if we were to sit down and build the list of quarterbacks that you would have over Baker Mayfield, I think you'd probably be about there. And I think if he has this season, he's playing somewhere else next year. This Browns team is built to win right now.
Uh-huh.
This Browns team is not built to win 2 years from now. This Browns team is built to win right now. They've got $40 million in cap space in the offseason. They would probably, on the right deal, like to bring back Jadeveon Clowney. That'll eat up a chunk of that. Jadeveon Clowney's been awesome for this team. He's been everything you can ask for him to be. They probably want to sign him. They're probably going to look at a Denzel Ward extension as well, so that'll eat into it. They're probably going to move on from J.C. Treader if they need money to play with.
I've been saying that for a while now.
Mm-hmm. There is money to be spent on this team. Oh, by the way, the cap's going up $20 million. So add all of that together. I think this offseason, guys, they're going to be in the rumors for Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be in the middle of the Russell Wilson rumors. They're going to be in the middle of the Aaron Rodgers rumors.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to be rumored probably for Derek Carr, too. They are going to do what they can to upgrade this position. Hang on. I apologize. I am at my folks' house doing laundry.
Oh, no, you're good.
They are the one house that is left on the face of the earth that has a home phone. So that's what that was.
All right.
So 3, 2, 1. If Baker Mayfield has the season like this again, he will not be a Cleveland Brown. They are going to shop in the offseason for someone else. That's not, I can just tell you that right now. They were going to be in the middle of all of those rumors and all of those conversations.
One thing for me I'm giving credit to Carmen and Lima. I'm giving credit. I'm not doing what other stations will do and just say they. I will say I am going to champions pose if Derek Carr leaves or is gone from Las Vegas next year, because I've been saying this for months and months that I have a weird feeling that this is going to be the final year of Derek Carr in Las Vegas, and I get called stupid. And now, what are we hearing? Derek Carr to Cleveland. People are starting to rise on that stock.
Yeah, Robert Mays turned me on to that a while ago.
And
that he's like, It was on a pod, and he was like, just watch for Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
I think they want to kaboom that whole thing in Vegas. And I think the Henry Ruggs situation aside, and the way, I mean, their second round pick, they basically threw off the team. So they've had their messes on top of that.
Well, look at.
I think Derek Carr is going to be out there, and I would make the trade for Derek Carr.
I mean, just look at the Raiders in itself. You have the Henry Ruggs situation. You have the John Gruden email situation. You have Damon Arnett. He's out here waving guns like this is Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, it's what's going on out in Vegas. I mean, they've been out there for 2 years in Vegas, and you just deal with all this. But you were talking about the quarterback and you're in a win now situation. This was a text that I just got texted to a Browns fan a couple days ago. This was the same one that was saying the missing report on Myles Garrett. He said it's going to be a fight for Kenny Pickett. So he's possibly thinking the Browns might draft a quarterback next year, which I don't think is going to happen at all. I think I have a better shot of eating 3 dinner boxes and getting a 6-pack within an hour than that happening.
Everybody is starting to do that thing again where we spend the whole college football season, and all of the people who watch college football tell you that all of these quarterbacks are not good, and you should not base anything on these quarterbacks. And we are starting to do that thing again where we're talking ourselves into these quarterbacks, even though anybody who watched college football season would go, these guys are fine. And we will be in a position where there will be two quarterbacks probably taken in the top 10. And I heard in the beginning of the year that this is the EJ Manuel draft all over again.
Oh.
That this is the one where you're going to look at it and you're going to go, oh no, you don't want any of these guys. Stock everything else and hope that you can solve it.
EJ Manuel,
you don't want
Geno
any of these
Smith.
Guys. Yep, you don't want any of them. And I think, honestly, guys, that draft pick for the Browns is going to go one of two places. It's either going to be for a starting wide receiver for this team, a 1-1 wide receiver, and the second place it's going to go is to another team for their quarterback. I don't think they do anything else. It is the goal of Andrew Berry in this offseason is to fix the quarterback position and upgrade the wide receiver position. Done and done. That's all. Everything else that's here, if they want to roll back Anthony Walker again on a 1-year deal for the linebacker position, another year of, Troy Hill's already here for another year, but stretch out Denzel Ward, get another, couple years out of him. Great. Bring back Jadeveon Clowney, roll back Malik McDowell, all that stuff. The fan base would do a backflip and be over the moon. The goal of this offseason, quarterback, wide receiver, plain and simple. If that means you go sign Allen Robinson, then go sign Allen Robinson. That's where they are. Quarterback, wide receiver. And I think that first round pick is going to be somebody else's pick, either on draft day or before the draft. They are not coming out of this. If they come back to this season with Baker Mayfield as the quarterback next year, it's not that I'm going to be shocked, because I won't be, because I've followed this team enough. It's more that they will have exhausted everything else around them, and I will guarantee you that they are going to have their version of Ryan Tannehill waiting in the wings, of somebody who is going to step in, whether that becomes Phelpsy loves to throw out Mitch Trubisky. I don't know if it's Mitch Trubisky, but if that becomes wayward quarterback X that they decide to roll on in, who is in a bad situation and needed a restart and all that stuff, if it's Gardner Minshew, if it's Jalen Hurts, that one wouldn't shock me if the Eagles decide they're going to go get their quarterback and they don't want it to be Hurts. I'm in that position. I think somebody else will be the quarterback of this team next year. I don't think it's going to be Baker, and if it is, it's going to be because they've struck out everywhere else, and they're going to have somebody waiting on the bench to take over for him the minute he starts struggling.
One thing I do want to ask you real quick about this, we're talking about NFL draft while we're at it, is the wide receiver position, where, as we just saw, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, two guys from Ohio State that are not going to play in the Rose Bowl. Those are two guys that Browns fans are going to be watching out for. They're going to watch out for Jameson Williams, which is a hot take for me. Jameson Williams, whatever team he's on, is going to have a similar impact to what Justin Jefferson did and what Jamar Chase did in their rookie year. That is a steaming hot take.
Ooh, okay. I can work with that.
Jameson
not
Williams
prepped.
to me is looking like Reggie Wayne. I'm giving him that comparison.
I will be the first to tell you I am not prepped on the draft. I am not completely I have not dove in because honestly, I didn't think we would be here. I did not think the Browns where we would be looking at this and going, okay, they're either going to be, so what? They're either going to be 17 or they might be in the top 10. I didn't think we were going to be in this position. So I'm not fully repped on that whole thing. I am an Olave fan. I think Clarissa Olave is immensely talented. I think Garrett Wilson is incredibly talented as well. I can tell you those two guys are right there. They're going to be in the middle of this. And the problem is, guys, if the Browns don't make the playoffs and this pick ends up being in the top 10, it's definitely not going to be them making the pick. They're going to trade it. Their draft picks have no use to them right now. Second, third, fourth rounders, yeah, they've got a little bit of a use. But the first round pick, with the way this team is built right now, it will be used to get a quarterback. It just will. And I don't think it'll be Matt Ryan because of that $30 million poison pill that's in his contract.
That was someone I was going to possibly ask about as well.
Yeah, there's a poison pill in his contract that if he gets traded, the Falcons have to pay a salary that year. And so you would basically have to talk the Falcons into no, you don't want him to play for you. You just want to pay him to play somewhere else. That's the way you want to do it. That's kind of the way that is. So Matt Ryan would be really interesting on this team. I'd love to do it. I just don't think you're going to talk the Falcons into it. So, I mean, it's Derek Carr, who I would be in for that one. I would be in for the other three guys. Deshaun Watson, pending on what takes place with everything at Deshaun Watson, because all of it is going to be handled somewhere that isn't a football field. Kirk Cousins, I think, would be my line. I know he's been really good this year. I know everybody is going, oh, he's making figured it out, made the leap and all that stuff. I'm good. You can have Kirk Cousins. I'm very happy not being down that road.
I have one last question before we get into the breakdown of this game, but I want to, Caleb, make sure he gets out his questions that he might have.
Sorry, Caleb. I'm a rambler. I apologize.
No, you're good.
Caleb can be kind of quiet, but when he gets going, he'll dog me at times too, which is he's the quiet assassin.
The strong silent type.
That's what we
Something
like to
that.
get. I'll just make sure you get your questions out before, because I have one last question before we get into the breakdown of this Monday night, whatever the hell you want to call game.
Yeah, well, fire
Loser
away.
leaves town match.
All right. So my last question, this was something that we hinted a little bit earlier in the show. The Browns running attack on Saturday. The Browns averaged 8.8 yards per carry against.
That is correct.
Your Cleveland Browns averaged 8.8 yards per carry against your Green Bay Packers.
That is correct.
And this is a stat that I stole from Jason Lloyd. I completely just stole that, and here we go.
Stat,
but at least I will give him the credit.
Good move.
Since
Jason
2018, when Baker came into the league, 24 teams have averaged 8 yards per carry or better. The record, 12-12. When a team averages 12 yards per attempt throwing the football, there's been 33 games since 2018. The record, 32-1. Baker Mayfield in this offense does not seem like that's the kind of fit. And that also kind of brought into the discussion that we had earlier about Baker Mayfield.
It's right there. I mean, again, it's back to that whole argument that, the analytics folks will tell you.
And we all know how
Throwing
very
the ball is way
analytical
more
Paulie
efficient.
Bethesda and the Browns front office has become.
Throwing the ball is way more efficient than running the ball. I mean, it's that simple, and it's right in that stat. I mean, you witness it all over the place. There's a reason why teams are throwing more and more than they are running the ball. This offense, in the way that this offense is built right now, and the way that this team is built, the identity is the exact opposite of what everybody thinks it should be and what we thought it would be in the beginning of the year. This team's identity is its defense. This team's it's their defense. Defense has become the strength.
Which is insane comparing to how I was hearing Browns fans talk about Joe Woods.
They wanted to fire him. Oh my God.
They wanted to get a picture of Joe Woods and just have a big bonfire with anything involving Joe Woods.
Browns fans would have driven him to the airport, and then another group would have driven him to his next destination and picked him up from that airport and taken him to wherever he was going to go next to make sure he wasn't in Cleveland, like to guarantee it. Like, that's the level they were of Joe Woods. And yet, this is where we are. The defense of this team is really good. It is one of the better defenses in all of football. And they're going to continue to be. And this offense's goal is to hide the passing game as much as humanly possible, to put Baker in easy throws, quick positions, one read, play action. He's still good in the play action. Give him easy throws, easy looks, easy reads, and run the hell out of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they're going to win games. They're going to win games. They want to win them 21 to 17. Like, that's how they want to win. And in fact, they want to even do less than that. They want to win it 16 to 13 if they could. I mean, they want to slow this thing down. And it all is going to fall on the shoulders of Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt will hopefully be back soon to help that cause as well. Dearness Johnson is really good. A team next year is going to end up with Dearness Johnson on their roster and be really happy with that. That guy is insane.
Because isn't he a restricted?
I believe so.
Okay.
So, I mean, and that's just one of those where that's a trade chip for this team. If somebody was like, oh yeah, Dearness Johnson for a third rounder, like fourth rounder, done. If there's somebody in the draft that you love, done. Like, that's a really easy move. And the way that this team continues to produce running backs wouldn't shock me in the slightest. So that's this team, and that's Nick Chubb, and that's the running game. Stefanski wants to throw the ball. He really does. He just doesn't have the quarterback right now to do it. And if you want to say it's because of the injuries, or you want to say it's because Baker Mayfield blows, whichever direction you want to point it to, fine. But he doesn't have it right now. And so this team is run the ball more, set up play action, and hope the head coach realizes how well running the ball is working for him to the outside and continues to do it. Because we've gone down this road enough times this season with the current shape of Baker Mayfield, you cannot hand him the ball and say, go win me this game. He won't do it. He just won't. Whether it's because he's a one-read quarterback, or whether it's because he can't improvise, or whether it's because he rolls left, or whether it's because he's hurt, whatever you want to point to, the results are right there in front of you. He just flat out can't do it.
Well, what you just said real quick, and I make this one comment before we get into this, is the clutch moments or lack thereof for Baker Mayfield, where the stats show that he is 0-5 in games that are within one score with 4 minutes left in the game.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what I want to ask Browns fans and asking it a legitimate question, not just me being a Browns hater or a Steeler fan. That's a legit question to everyone is for Browns fans is that how much of that are you going to take into consideration in terms of wanting to sign Baker Mayfield?
That's the question that the entire front office is pondering on top of that. It just, there's no clear answer. I mean, and I know the people who can't stand Baker Mayfield will have their clear answer and know it very well, which is, no, God, no, get him out of here now. He's awful. And the other side of this, who does the same exact thing. So here, I'm stealing another Jason Lloyd for you. Okay. Baker this year in the last 4 minutes of a one-score game, 11 of 26, 74 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, passer rating of 17.8.
I actually remembered hearing that yesterday.
Directly from Jason Lloyd's Twitter account. Second Jason Lloyd shout out, by the way, who is the best.
I wonder if he's still blocked by Carmen or not, or if he still has Carmen blocked.
He probably does. Jason Lloyd's as cool as they come. He's a great dude. But yeah, I mean, I continue to come back to the same thing all the time of, the people who defend this stuff. It's the great, I don't know if you guys are Seinfeld fans. I know you are younger than I am. So I'm not 100% sure if you are, but there's this great scene where they're trying to give out a scholarship. And George brings in this kid who best reminds him of what George wishes he was. He wants to grow up. He wants to be an architect. He wants to move on from there. And they go, this is so-and-so. He's got a GPA of 2.5, smack dab in the middle. Not too smart, not too dumb, right where it needs to be. And the guy who's the head of the foundation looks at him and says, George, we decided that this scholarship was going to be mostly academically based. And George goes, well, we all know the biases of standardized testing in the different directions. And he goes, there aren't biases. These are his grades. And that's exactly how I feel about Baker Mayfield, where it's like, there are no biases. These are his numbers.
Can't argue.
This is where he is. There are no biases. There are no biases with what I just read. Right there. 4 minutes, 1 score game. The last year. 11 of 26, 74 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, passer rating of 17.8.
Not good.
There are no biases.
All right.
These are his grades.
All right, now we can get into the breakdown. I apologize for the pausing and stuff.
You are fine. I got to wrap in probably 20, so I need to stop rambling.
Well, no, you're good. That sounds about right, too. So we'll kind of make this a little shorter and sweet, and then we'll go from there. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, breakdown of this Monday night game. Here's something that I'm looking for in this game. One thing, what is a thing that you notice with the Browns? They like to go conservative in the second half. What is a theme for the Steelers, let's say for the last month or so? They pick right up in the second half.
It's only half they show up to the football game.
Yeah, they show up. It's like when you're at a high school game and you show up at 8:15. When the game started at 7. That's what happens. That is something that I'm going to be watching for. Because, let me find this. So, in the second half for the Browns, I actually did a little bit of research here. The Browns are being outscored 114 to 172 in the second half. The Packers 7-0, you're ahead. Raiders 14-6. Baltimore 0-16. Baltimore again 7-10. Detroit scored 0 points, and Detroit scored 13. New England 7-21. Cincinnati 17-6. Pittsburgh 7-12. Denver 7-14. Although that was the Case Keenum game. Arizona 0-14. The Chargers game 22-34. Minnesota 3-0, Chicago 16-3, and Kansas City 7-23. That, right, my friends, is something I'm going to be looking out for. And the other part that I hate the fact that I have to admit this, and it shows what happened. The first matchup was so impressive, was holding Nick Chubb to 60 yards. With this rushing defense, where we've been without Stephon Tuitt all year long. We've been without Tyson Alualu since week 2 against the Raiders. Those two were a big part in the rushing defense the last few years being good. Because now also on the outside, that really helps out Cam Hayward. Before it was Bud Dupree and Alex Highsmith. And then obviously none other than Trent Jordan-Watt. But now you can fit 4 semi-trucks in the holes that the Steelers are giving up. You have Devin Bush, who at the beginning of the year was tweeting about God knows what, and he was going on rants about whatever the hell he pleased. Joe Schobert, Browns, you know about this all too well about him. He can make a lot of tackles, but he also misses a lot of tackles. Mm-hmm. And then you get our secondary where Joe Hayden, he's fine. But you could tell the decline is starting to happen. Minka Fitzpatrick is having to be a fifth linebacker because no one on this team can tackle, apparently.
That dude is so good.
Robert Spillane. How is it that in 2020 you can obliterate Derrick Henry on the goal line, but you do the same thing to Clyde Edwards-Helaire on Sunday, and I don't know what happened. You fell off into the oblivion. That's something I'm going to be watching out for. If the Steelers defense can hold the rushing attack of Cleveland, I like our odds. If you don't, it ain't looking good.
I think mine, as funny as it sounds, of things that I'm looking at for this one is the data's out. You know, we know at this point we believe this is going to be Ben Roethlisberger's last home game, right? I bet you they are going to have, Hines Ward and James Harrison and everybody's coming back to pay their respects to Big Ben. They'll have Jerome Bettis in there, and it'll be a full house going nuts for this whole thing. And you were going to get the best of what Ben has in the tank. So we'll see that one. Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney off the COVID-19 list. Myles Garrett dealing with the groin injury. Malik McDowell also off the COVID-19 list. We'll see if they can get some pressure on Ben and not allow him to sit back there and just pick you apart. Then this game gets really interesting in a hurry. If Ben decides to turn the clock back and starts picking on these, on the wide receiver, on the corners and all that kind of stuff, and finds the Greedy Williams side and picks on that one a little bit, even though Greedy's been pretty darn good, or looking at the slot and all that stuff, that's going to be an eye opener. I'm interested to see that one because I think you are going to see a spirited Ben Roethlisberger. I think he knows this is the last home game that he's going to have, and he's going to play it up.
Last ride for the cowboy.
Exactly. And I think he's going to look good doing it. Look, on the Browns side, the Steelers are going to dare Baker Mayfield to beat him with his arm. They're going to stack the box. They're going to go bare front. They'll go 5 down linemen so that you can't pull any of those guards and get Nick Chubb. I hope the Browns learn something by having 3 wide receivers on the field, that they need to differentiate their looks, find some different looks for Nick Chubb to run the ball through instead of just being this 3 tight end, bunch it up and hope for the best. I hope they've found something in that game to help him out. But if Bake can't throw, and if Baker's not going to complete passes to the outside and he's just going to throw the ball over the middle, which is what he does, then it's going to be cross your fingers, 16-13. Come on, 16-13. Like, let's run the ball. Let's run the clock out. Maybe we'll get Kareem Hunt involved in the screen game if he's able to come back and hope for the best. And I think that's what this game looks like. It goes 2 ways. Either Big Ben lights it up and one last ride and all that stuff for everybody at Heinz Field, knowing he's going to retire at the end of the year and be done with it, because I can't see Ben playing for another team. If it's that, they're toast. If this is a track meet, they're not keeping up. The Browns' offense cannot keep up.
Right.
The Browns win this game if it is 16-13, and they control the clock with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Dearness Johnson, and maybe a little bit of Demetri Felton, and probably some end arounds with Anthony Schwartz, since they finally decided to do that after everybody yelling about it forever. If that's what it is, and it's 16-13, they got a shot. If Ben's going to run the score up and throw 4 touchdowns, start pulling the draft board out of the attic, start watching tape of wide receivers along the way, and hope that Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson or any of those boys show right on up. Or hope that you can trade for a quarterback. That's what it is. That's what it is. Baker is not going to win this game with his arm, and the Steelers are going to dare him to. And I think it's starting to even hit Baker that he can't win these games with his arm.
I think it's going to be tough for them too with the environment, because one thing people aren't talking about is there was hardly any 200 fans in the building in the playoff game, and so this is a city that just can't stand Cleveland, who is back for Ben's last game, packed house. I think they're opening up the section down by the scoreboard, and they're bringing in they're selling a bunch of standing room only ticket. Like, they're going to pack this place out. It's going to be a hostile environment. Who's at this point in for Steeler fans, we're not looking at the playoff. Yes, you're looking at the playoffs and how we can still get in, But for us, it's let's win this game. Let's let Ben go out at home on a beaten Cleveland. Let's put them back in their place for last time in Ben's career. And then, you know what, let's go on the road. Whatever happens with Baltimore. And if we can sneak in and then lose a playoff game on the road. But like this is it for Steeler fans this year. And so there's going to be a lot of energy coming out of Heinz Field. And so this is going to be
loud,
a
man.
big game even for Cleveland to win. And that, like, it's going to be hard for them. This is a tough road environment. Before you add all that extra energy on, mix that with the fact that Pittsburgh has been playing as a second half team and Cleveland hasn't. So I feel like this is going to be one where we don't really see much in the first half. And then just the second half, Pittsburgh is going to put their foot on the gas and just bury them with crowd energy.
It's going to be one of those games where it will get quiet. You know, the fans will die down a little bit. And right when that moment hits, they'll go, ladies and gentlemen, Troy Polamalu. And everybody will go absolutely nuts again. And then it'll start to die down and get kind of quiet. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerome Bettis. And everyone will go nuts again. Like, it's going to be one of those. Ladies and gentlemen, Santonio Holmes. Like, it's going to be – they're going to bring back everybody in that game for the Steelers. And they're going to show them. And they're all going to get their standing O's because it's Ben's last game. And I have a bad feeling about this, man. I just do. I got a bad feeling. Monday Night Football. This team just – They're getting guys off the COVID list, which is sensational. I just, man, you line all that stuff up and you start getting a real bad feeling.
And then they just randomly midway through the fourth quarter, big time moment, Renegade pops up. Fans are going to absolutely go wild. This is going to be a good one, and
it's going to be a fun one.
It
is going to be a fun one.
I'm going to break some news real quick here on the channel, so you guys are going to. I've decided. I did this once before. I did a live stream of live reacting to the Minnesota game. I think I might have to do it again for this game.
That'd be fun. That'd be a fun one.
I did that for the Minnesota game. I had a whole lot of fun. I just basically had a camera right in front of me, and everyone got to watch me react to the Steeler game.
It's why when I don't tweet during football games that I have emotional attachment to, because things come out of my mouth that will get me fired.
Yeah, just like make sure for everyone we'll see if it's Chase McLaughlin or if it's a kicker's name that you make sure you say correctly, or else you are getting canceled.
Nagar. Chris Nagar. Don't get fired.
Don't get fired. Don't get canceled. Don't get your Twitter shoved down everyone's face. Don't do
what all the beat reporters did and just call him Chris.
Yeah, or just say the Browns kicker.
The press conference. So what'd you think of Chris?
And then you're going to get Chris who? You're going to, I mean, I know Chris Boswell, but who's your Chris? Chris, the kicker.
Exactly. Refer to him as the kicker or call him Chris.
Start using numbers.
Exactly. You're going to have to.
You know how Browns fans, they do the, we ride with 6. Yeah, you're going to start riding with whatever number he is, because I have no idea, honestly.
It's going to be a lot of fun next year when we're riding with 12.
Oh, God. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Dan, for coming on with us once again. We had a hell of a time. It's always fun talking to you. And, again, for those, this is going to be after. If you haven't yet, make sure to go and tune into Baskin and Phelps on 92.3 The Fan. You can listen to Dan Meiningen, Andy Baskin, and Jeff Phelps. They're great. I love it. And until then, score predictions real quick before we go.
Anybody else? I will say 21-17 Browns.
Okay. Caleb?
No offense, gentlemen.
No, you're good. I think we did this before, where you went, and I don't blame you at all. Caleb, what's your score prediction?
Oh man, this is. I'm probably gonna say 28-14.
Oh. 2014.
Us, obviously, because Cleveland can't score 28 points.
It's a good point.
Well,
They
yet
can't score
again,
28
I
points.
also feel like we ain't scoring 28 points either, but I'm going to go. It's going to be another close game. Let's go 17-14. Good guys. Well, unless you're Dan, well, then it's bad guys. But
No, 28-14, but 2 of those touchdowns were defensive touchdowns.
Oh, buddy, we got a hot one coming in.
If Baker throws a pick 6, I'm taking Monday off.
You mean Tuesday?
Or Tuesday. Sorry, I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore.
Hey,
Oh my
as
God,
long
these
as
holidays
just
need
like
to
how it was in Week 6 of 2020 when he did that to Minka Fitzpatrick on the third offensive snap for the Browns.
If he throws a pick 6, I'm taking Tuesday off for the sake of my sanity.
I'm holding you to that. If I hear you, Dan, I promise you, if Baker Mayfield throws a pick 6 and I hear you on Tuesday, I am calling up the show and I am putting that on just so you can hear that. Everyone's whoa, what?
I would deserve it too. All right, boys. It's going to be fun. Thank you for having me. This was
All
a
right,
blast.
thank you everyone for tuning in. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe, drop a comment, hit the notification bell. If you haven't yet, click the link, Revolution Radio on Facebook. And if you don't have a Facebook, well, then you can follow us on Twitter at Rev Radio Live. Make sure to follow all of us on our Twitters. His Twitter is The Sports Feller on Twitter. Till then, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. See you guys in 2022. Peace out.
See y'all later.